Delayed the start of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson to bring you the following report from NBC News. Here is NBC News correspondent George Lewis in Los Angeles.
Good evening. On the road to Damascus, that's where the hostages may well be within a few minutes if they haven't already started, heading overland to freedom. It's 9:30 Saturday morning in Lebanon. Chris Drake, our bureau chief in Beirut, is standing by. Chris, what details can you give us about the hostages' departure?
As you say, they are expected to leave at any moment. We have no confirmation yet that they have done so. However, in the last couple of minutes, we've heard that Nabi Berri, the man who's been mediating as leader of the Amal party, is about to give a news conference. It's possible, of course, some of those hostages will turn up there just to say farewell to the press and, of course, to Nabi Berri. We're confident, or at least we're told we should be confident, that all 39 hostages will be leaving. There was a point during our night time when, at this dinner that was given at the hotel for them, 7 of them failed to turn up, and that included the 3-man crew of the plane. But we're told, no, they will all be released. They will all head for Damascus. As to what will happen to the plane, we don't know.
So, Chris, there's a possibility that the 3 crewmen will be driven out and that the plane will be left behind?
There is a possibility that those 3 from the plane were taken out during the night, during the hours of darkness, and that they are no longer on board. We have not actually sighted them today. It's a very chaotic situation, as you can imagine. Originally, it was assumed that they would fly to Damascus. That would have been the most simple way of doing things, but it's decided they'll go the 55 miles up over the mountains, the Lebanese mountains, to the Syrian border. There, presumably, the Syrians will take charge and drive them the last 15 miles into the capital, Damascus.
And, Chris, any indication on the fate of the 7 people captured earlier, the ones who were not aboard the hijacked plane but who have been held in captivity?
None whatsoever, I'm afraid. There certainly have been moves during the past few days to have them included, to make it 46 hostages to be released. It is still possible that this is the case because it is our understanding, indeed it has been for some considerable time, that those hostages have not been held here in Beirut. Hostages kidnapped would be, kidnapped victims would be a better way of putting it, but they are in fact held in the Bekaa Valley, which is closer to the Syrian border than it is here in to Beirut.
Chris Drake in Beirut, we thank you very much. In Washington, White House officials stayed in their offices late following events. They went home for a few hours sleep and have just come back. Correspondent Jamie Gangel is at the White House. Jamie, what's happening there now?
George, there is still no official confirmation here at the White House, but the mood is increasingly optimistic. And as you just mentioned, it's just a little after 2:30 in the morning here, but White House aides are coming back to their offices after just a few hours of sleep. National Security Advisor Robert McFarlane, who was working late last night, is back in his office monitoring the situation. White House spokesman Larry Speaks has joined him there, as have a number of other people, and things are really buzzing here. We do hope within an hour to get some sort of briefing from the White House. But right now they're being very careful about what they're saying. They don't want to spoil the situation. The concern is that something might happen at the last moment, and they simply want to wait until the hostages are over the border.
Jamie Gangel, if you can hear me, what about the earlier expressed administration concern about the 7 Americans who were captured earlier? Is that still a big concern at the White House?
They're being very cautious about those 7 kidnapped victims from earlier in the year. As you know, earlier this week, Secretary Schultz had spoken out very strongly, saying that those 7 must be released along with the TWA kidnapped victims. But right now, there is no sign that they will be included. And so the White House is sort of hedging on that. They obviously would like to get everyone out, but they're going to have to take whoever comes in this, and they'll be pleased to get as many as they can.
Jamie Gangel at the White House, we thank you very much. Earlier this evening in Beirut, an unusual scene. The hostages were taken to a farewell dinner by their captors, a goodbye party. NBC News correspondent Tom Brokaw was there and filed this report.
He did hear one comment that allowed me to paraphrase that.
Any hijacking is a moment-to-moment affair, but this one has been wildly unpredictable and unscheduled. Tonight, the latest example of that. 32 of the hostages were awakened, taken from their beds to a seaside hotel and given an elaborate dinner.
Okay, we're going to have to take another cab.
Another cab.
You know when you're going home?
No idea.
We don't keep our hopes up.
We all want to go
Day
home
by
soon.
day. We go day by day. Good. We go to Damascus, yes? We go to Damascus.
Oh, you're going
How are you feeling? Yes, we just heard.
But did they tell you anything about when you eventually will be released altogether? Not at all, okay.
They're not going to Damascus tonight.
No, not tonight.
Where are they going? Back to where they
Their
were.
apartments tonight?
I don't know.
But back to where they have
But
been.
not going home tonight.
But they're going back to where they have been.
to sleep.
They don't sleep tonight?
They are going to sleep.
But in Beirut?
I don't know.
But in the Beirut area. In Lebanon, will they sleep tonight?
Yes, in Lebanon.
In Lebanon, do they sleep tonight?
I think they're going...
Following their dinner, the hostages were loaded into a variety of sedans and rushed off to what we believe were the apartments in which they have been staying for the past several nights now. And then tomorrow, they should be moving on to Damascus. I'm Tom Brokaw, NBC News in Beirut.
Within a few hours, the hostages are expected to be in Damascus, where we are told they will hold a news conference. Standing by in Damascus is NBC News correspondent Rick Davis. Rick, if you can hear me, what plans are underway for their arrival?
Rick Davis in Damascus, can you hear us?
Wearing trip across the Shuf Mountains and roads battered and bombed out by war. They'll be arriving here for a news conference, a display, a public display put on by the Syrians who will gain all the public relations value they can out of this. That's one of the things they want out of this settlement. That will happen apparently shortly after they arrive in Damascus. There are now two conflicting reports on how long the hostages will be here. One high Syrian official says they will be here for 48 hours, but a top-ranking U.S. diplomatic source says they will be here for just a very few hours, implying that they could be out of here as early as tonight.
Rick, we understand that according to some reports, the hostages will be flown to Wiesbaden, West Germany for debriefings and medical treatment. Can you confirm that?
We can't confirm it here, no. We do know that, I just got word, George, that 40 rooms are being booked for a period of 4 hours from about 1 o'clock this afternoon, Damascus time, to 5 p.m. this afternoon. Now, that indicates the hostages will be here a very short time. That was just passed to me by our correspondent on the scene down at the hotel where the news conference will be, Phil Bremen.
Any indication what President Assad of Syria is going to get out of all of this?
Assad of Syria always gets something out of everything. That's the words that's passed by in the diplomatic corps here. One of the things he's going to have to get to save his own reputation is the freedom of those 700 Shiites now held in Israel. If he doesn't get it, it will anger Nabi Berri, head of the Amal, and it will madden the Hezbollah, the radical Shiites who took those hostages.
The radical Hezbollah is also believed to be the group responsible for holding the other 7, the ones who were captured earlier. Isn't that correct? And any indication from your end as to what's happening with them?
Nothing has been reported to us about what is happening to them. Our high diplomatic source here says there is no indication that any of them will be included in this group. And as far as the United States is saying publicly, they don't know what's happened or will happen to them.
Rick Davis in Damascus, we thank you. One of the hostages is from Southern California and was interviewed by NBC News during that last evening in Beirut.
Was all. Yeah. And where is home? Los Angeles, Thousand Oaks, California. Newberry Park. Yeah.
It must feel pretty good, though, that the end is coming close.
I hope it's coming, but I don't want to get my hopes too high yet. What is your name? Thomas Murray.
Yes. Any message for your wife, man?
I talked to her tonight, but all I can do is pass all my love to her and the whole family.
Where will you be going?
Los Angeles, as soon as I can get there.
But do you know where you'll be going tonight?
No, I know the house when I see it from the inside.
But nobody told you how you're going to go from Beirut?
No.
Any message for America after all of this, right? No. We assume we're going back to...
Negotiate. Negotiate. Forget the force.
And in Southern California tonight, Murray's wife and daughter were more than relieved to watch Mr. Murray on videotape.
I've taken a deep breath for the first time in 2 weeks. And we'll just hang in there until he's definitely on his way home. You know, nothing is definite until he's in the house. But I think he looks real good, and he sounds good. His voice is strong. And I'm just real pleased. I'm real pleased with everything that's gone on today.
That was the wife and daughter of Thomas Murray, one of the 39 hostages we believe will be heading on the road to Damascus very shortly. To wrap up, here's where we think we are at this point. The 39 hostages aboard the TWA hijacked plane 847, we are told, are going to be gathered together, we believe, at a news conference being held by Nabi Berri, the leader of the Amal militia in Beirut. He seems to be holding that news conference right now. And shortly after that is over, and it has been Mr. Berry's pattern to show off the hostages at news conferences, shortly after that is over, we believe that the 39 hostages will be put on the road to Damascus. That's a trip of about 2.5 to 3.5 hours over a pretty rough mountainous road. When they get to the Syrian border with Lebanon, they will be met by Syrian army guards, we believe, and then driven the 15 miles into the Syrian capital. The arrangements that are being made in Syria are for the hostages to go to the Sheraton Hotel there. We are told that they will be holding a news conference. There are conflicting reports about how much time they will be spending in Syria, but according to earlier reports we've heard, quoting U.S. officials, they will eventually be flown to Wiesbaden, to the Rhein-Main Air Force Base there. That's a route that the hostages in Iran took when they came out following their 444-day ordeal. The hostages, there are some plans to keep them there a brief while to let them undergo medical treatment and debriefing. NBC News will stay on the air. We will have further updates as later news becomes available. I'm George Lewis, NBC News in Los Angeles. This has been a special report.
We now join our regularly scheduled program. The program is in progress.